The saying goes, dress for the slide, not for the ride. And when you're talking about gloves, there seems to be a very sharp divide between very casual gloves and truly protective gloves designed for that slide, particularly the slide portion. So let's talk about it. I have three gloves, three pairs, haha, two of which are relatively protective, and one is really just if you tip over in the parking lot, you've got something. You know, if a rock hits you while you're riding, you've got something on your knuckles and your fingers. But the other two, honestly, I've never thought otherwise, they're pretty minimal for protection in the slide. When you go down, there's some decent impact protection. There's some initial basic abrasion protection, but they're not helping you not catch, not grab on the ground. And if you think about it, you're falling at one speed. Gravity is a thing. You fall at a particular rate. But if you're coming off the bike, you may be going 50, 60 miles an hour. If you get high-sided, it's actually launching you even faster than you were actually going. So your horizontal speed across the ground may be higher than your vertical speed coming down by a lot. So to me, if you're trying to protect yourself, you want to minimize how hard your hands hit and stop. You don't want to transmit that shock into your wrist, your arms, your shoulders, your torso. You want to slide. If you watch MotoGP guys, if you watch any of the racers, they're not trying to stop fast. They're trying to minimize the impact of that event. And I say impact in the results of that event. Their gear is hard. They're wearing gear with hard sliders. It's just like wearing a slider on your knee. Your goal is not to have it drag on the ground and apply friction. Your goal is to reduce the friction. Your goal is for that to just glide along. Now, my AlpineStars, these are my SMX Airs, SMX1 Air V2s. There's no padding down here, none. There's nothing. If you hit, you hit. There's nothing protecting you there. This material here has a little bit of abrasion material. Over here, they've got a lot more. So if you put your hand down like this, if you hit the ground this way, you've got a decent amount of abrasion protection, but it's not hard. It's not going to just slide. It's just more material for it to eat. So you're not helping yourself glide along and not get that shock. But overall, these have a fair bit of material. They're reasonably protective for what they are. But they're not helping you in that context of you're hitting the ground and you want your hand to just slide along. The Joe Rocket Turbulence, well, they actually use the strap. I talked about this in an earlier video, a recent video. In fact, probably the last full-length video you saw. This strap actually is part of the protection. It gives a little TPR at your wrist. And then they've got this soft cushion with a very thin layer of leather over it. I'm not convinced this isn't worse than nothing, because I think that's going to hit, dig into the ground. I mean, I can make it drag just with my finger, okay? I think that's going to hit, dig into the ground, basically get ripped off. But in the meantime, you've transmitted all that force right up your body. Did you break your wrist? Did you break your arm? Did you jam up your elbow? Did you transfer it to your shoulders? It didn't slide. I am more and more convinced, and they have another one over here on the side of your hand. If you smack this way, that one to me has more value than this one. Just saying. More and more, I am thinking I need to order a pair of gloves with a hard TPU slider down here or on the wrist. Just overall more protection. I'm looking at a number of them. My problem is, in my price range, I'm trying to keep it 150 and under because I'm not Boy Racer. I'm not made of money. I don't want to spend too much money. I can't afford it really. So I'm trying to keep it to 150 and under. And I was hoping for a longer cuff glove, but even a mid-length cuff would be okay. It's amazingly hard. There's only a few options out there, and interestingly, you guys know how much I like my Scorpion Exo Optima jacket. Scorpion Exos SGS MkIIs, I believe they're called. They're the glove to beat right now. A lot of people have pointed out that for $89, you are getting a couple TPU sliders and overall a good blend of protection. It's just a shorter cuff. It's not coming way up your hand. Let's talk about what I was looking at here. I was looking for a TPU, not TPR, for the slider on the hand, down here. I want a touch screen for the fingertip and thumb. I'd live without it. 150 bucks or less. Hard knuckle protection. That was key. I still think having the knuckles is good. Honestly, I think it's less important than down here and over here, but it's still important. And general finger protection. That's one of the things these lack. There's very little protection on your fingers. It's just not there. They do, however, have one continuous layer of material coming up the side of the glove, up the pinky, which I do like. And again, on these, it's something I look for. It's something I think is valuable. It gives it less of a chance to just rip it away and destroy seams if you go down and slide, because that's your natural, if you put your hands out, that's the motion. You're going to hit here. So what were my options? And keep in mind, those weren't the only requirements. They were just the key ones. I was also hoping to find something not in all dark colors. REV'IT Metis 2 or Metis 2 or however you pronounce it. They're 140 bucks. Reasonably protective. They're not a race glove, but they're a pretty advanced street glove. And they're very similar to the next option, which is the RSR 4 for 150. They have a shorter cuff for a full cuff gauntlet glove. It's kind of a double closure setup, full TPUs, ticks nearly all the boxes. I didn't like the look of the Metis. They were a little too boy racery. I don't know if that's the real term, but they looked a little too spicy for me. The RSR 4s I really liked. It's just at the top of my budget. I mean, really. And I'm not saying that's an expensive glove. I'm just saying that, I've got two other main pairs of gloves, and I'm looking at adding another pair. 150 bucks is 150 bucks. But the RSR 4s really right now are they're up there for me. AlpineStars didn't seem to have anything that really fit. Their high-end stuff does, but it's out of the budget. A few of their options have like an aramid slider here. Guys, if you have experience with this, particularly if you've gone down with one, how does the aramid material as a slider work? Does it actually slide, or is it just that it abrades more slowly? Does it act more like a TPR or a TPU? I was looking at the SP-8 Airs, V3 Airs, but it's not a TPU slider. It's more like these guys, okay? But otherwise, it was very similar to what I wanted. It ticked a lot of boxes for 105 bucks, but without that TPU, and to me, that kind of defeats the purpose. A couple of the other options were out there. Dude, I know, Dainese. Unfortunately, I did not see anything in my price range that fit the bill. There were things that were above my price range. There were things in my price range that, according to all the reviews, were not going to fit me because they had super long fingers. I have very average fingers. So, yeah. I looked. I'm trying. It's on my list. But I can't spend $300 on a pair of gloves because that was the first Dainese I saw that matched my requirements. And they looked awesome. I just can't afford it. The Scorpion Exos. The SGS MkIIs, 90 bucks. TPU sliders, hard knuckles. Theoretically, they're touchscreen. A lot of people said it doesn't work. Decently vented. They're a shorter cuff, even more so than the RSR 4s. but not too short for my purposes. I'm not requiring a full long cuff gauntlet glove. I just wanted something a little further up so that there was some palm protection for real, not just bare minimum. Those are 90. My problem is, I look at those and I go, am I going to like those as much as if I spend the extra 50 bucks, extra 60 bucks on the REV'IT gloves? I'm tempted to order both. I'm a RevZilla, RPM member, I guess it is. I can return things very easily. It's free basically. So I'm tempted to order both and just wear them around the apartment for a couple days and see what I think, because it's $60, right? It's $60 extra, but you're talking a long-term purchase. This isn't a short-term purchase. This isn't something I'm going to have for a few months. My expectation is they will become my primary gloves from now until it's too cold for them. And then again, once it starts to warm up. And this is Texas. You're talking, 9 months of the year. And then a few days inside those 3 months. Then there are two more. There are two more gloves that are on the list. But I think I kind of excluded them in the sense that there's too many bad reviews. They get too many quality issue reviews. The Sedici Corsa and Chicane. Anybody have any real experience? Because the reviews basically say they are not built well enough. They have the features and the initial reports of, hey, I like them, blah, blah, blah. Those are good. And then people are like, yeah, I had them for 6 months and they fell apart. I had them for a month and they fell apart. I had them for 2 weeks and they fell apart. Now, you see some of that on AlpineStars. You see some of that on REV'IT. Usually it's when they've got a brand new model or they change the production. AlpineStars recently moved a lot of their production to China. Yeah, everybody's bitching about it. It is what it is. They clearly did not get their quality control right, at least for the initial runs on the Chinese stuff. I've had good luck with REV'IT. I apparently put them away. My REV'IT Cassinis are very well made, fit me pretty well. They're my winter gloves. Perfectly happy with them. I like REV'IT's style. They work for me. On the other hand, value, the Scorpion Exos are hard to beat. They just really are. It's hard to beat. My answer may be, I order both. Try them out without going on riding. I try them out, and I decide if I think either of them are good enough to keep and spend the money. Because I can just return both and go, wasn't impressed enough to spend the money, and keep going, keep trying stuff. I have gloves. It's not like I need, right now that I'm desperate for a glove. I'm just trying to improve my protection level in a way that I think has value above and beyond just the basic glove. And we'll see. I'm going to give it a shot. If you've got input, please put it in the comments. This is an area where I am just broadening my understanding, right? I knew what I was getting into with these. I knew I wasn't getting that same level of protection, but I was looking for a more casual, comfortable glove to get me started. I think looking back now, I would not have bought these. And I may not have bought these. I may have bought just, and I mean, we're talking total hindsight here. I did not even know half the stuff existed at the time. I might have bought the Joe Rocket Eclipse for my rider course. And then like the REV'IT RSRs or something like that for general purpose riding. And then maybe added a pair of these later as a secondary pair. Because one of the reasons I really bought these, it wasn't because I thought they were better than these. It was so that on a hot, sunny, bright, sweaty day, you come home, your gloves are sweaty. I can alternate. It lets them dry out. It lets them recover. It lets them not keep getting saturated. It really does. If you alternate pairs, you get more than twice the life out of them. if you wear them every day and you are working hard in them and they get sweaty and nasty every day and they don't get to completely dry out and recover, they wear out very fast. If you alternate pairs, 2-3 pairs, you get more than that lifespan back. So just alternating 2 pairs, you get more than double the time on each pair. So that's what I'm trying to do with the gloves. To some extent, I'm doing that on the helmets. But I think the helmets, it's easier to just go, okay, I'm going to replace a set of pads, every year or so. And it just is what it is. I'm 100%, if you have information that you think is valuable, if you have a link to a video, I have watched a number of videos on this topic and done some reading, and everybody who's riding aggressively and expecting to go down, is going, well, this is the kind of protection you want. This is what makes it better. When they go down, they're like, yeah, this is the consequences with the wrong glove. Well, why wouldn't I learn from that? Why wouldn't I go, well, I don't expect to go down, but on the other hand, I do, right? I'm not saying that I'm riding so aggressively that I'm planning for failure, but shit happens. And if I can be prepared for that, why would I not be? So take care, have fun, stay safe, keep riding. And what are you using?